And we're live. Hey, welcome back to the Unbridled Living in Costa Rica. Hey, it's the first Sunday of every month. And hey, what happens? Well, it's Q&A time. Hey, you get the cold, hard truth, and you get the facts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's time for you to ask your questions about life in Costa Rica. Hey, it's kind of like having a free phone consultation. And instead of paying me $100, you get all this information for free. So you got to wonder, why do you do it, Alan? Well, I've been conned. I've made all of the mistakes. And so, my YouTube channel, I don't have anything for sale. I do it because I enjoy helping other people. So today we're going to have fun, answering questions and finding out and learning anything that you want to know about Costa Rica. Now, while I don't know everything, I can tell you without a doubt, I'm the only person that knows as much as I do and is sharing it on YouTube. Most of the people on YouTube are trying to con you into buying Costa Rica, con you to come to Costa Rica so they can sell you more products and services. Well, that's not what I do. I just like to give you the truth about Costa Rica so you can make a decision about, hey, do I want to live in Costa Rica? Because, hey, no matter where you go, there's going to be some bad things. So you got to weigh the pros and the cons. And today we're going to be talking about all of those things. Okay. So, hey, like Eduardo says right here, get your pen and paper ready for Costa Rica school. And we always have a good time. Okay. So, hey, if you like a boring podcast, you better go somewhere else. We have fun on this channel. All right. Hey, so before we get started, on Q&A and taking questions, go ahead and put your questions in the chat box right now. But I'm about to start a brand new series where we talk about some of the best places to live in Costa Rica. Hey, last week we talked about, hey, is it better to live on the coast or the mountains or somewhere in between? So we really kind of focus heavily on, hey, coast living and mountain living. Okay, well, next week I think I might be talking about, hey, what's better? South Costa Rica, North Costa Rica, and kind of give you the pros and cons of those. But what I'd like to know is, hey, there's some of you folks out there. I would love for you to reach out to me, and you can simply do that by in the description of any video. That's where you can join my subscriber list, and you'll get an email. My question is, I need your help. Okay, so I would love for you to join me live on any one of our next podcasts. Maybe you live in San Vito and you'd like to share, why do you think that San Vito is a great place to live? What are some of the things you like? What are some of the things you don't like? Hey, maybe you live over in Antennas, like someone I know, and you want to share the things you like about that area. Hey, maybe you live way up there maybe you live over, well, I'll say way up there, Tamarindo, and where there's lots of tourists. Hey, maybe you want to share why you like it up there and what you don't. So, hey, if you would love to come on a podcast with me live and I can ask you questions, that would be a lot of fun. So, hey, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you, and I hope I get some brave souls. Promise you we'll have fun. Won't embarrass you or anything like that, but we'll have a lot of fun. I'd like to get your input as we talk about different places that people are living in Costa Rica. I think it would be an awesome series where, hey, my subscribers can hear from you. You live in Jaco? Tell me why. You live in Playa Hermosa? Tell me why. You like Estorrillos? You like San Vito, Sabalito? You like San Jose? Tell me why. I'd love to talk about that. So please, you go to the description in any video, and there's a place where it says subscribe, and you'll get an email from me. You can contact me, and I'd love to just talk chit-chat with you, okay? Hey, lots of questions, and here's a question, or not really a question, a comment from Danter here. It says, every time I check Costa Rica, it seems to me that it is so expensive. Well, here's the truth. The truth is that Costa Rica is the most expensive Latin America country to live in. So if you've got a tight budget, but you want the Costa Rica feel, live on the southern part of Panama. So you know the southern part of Panama is a lot like Costa Rica, but hey, prices can be a lot cheaper and sometimes half the cost of Costa Rica. Matter of fact, my wife and I are going to Panama next week. And what we're going to do? We'll go to Panama. We'll buy $4, $5, $6, $7, $800 worth of groceries, and we'll bring them back. Why? Because if I bought that same $500 worth of groceries in Costa Rica that I'm going to spend in Panama, it would probably cost me about $800 or $900. So I can actually save a lot of money by going to Panama and buying a carload of groceries. So, you know, I might spend $500 or $600. I might, you know, whether that's a month supply, 2 months supply, you know, I'll buy groceries and bring them back and we'll stock them up, you know, because I like to eat and my wife is a great cook. So you know what, that's what we'll do. But anyway, Costa Rica is expensive, no doubt about it. Okay. So if you got questions, put them in the chat box. I'd love to answer them. And so I'm kind of scanning through some of the comments here. Let's see here. And Retro says, "Hey, I wished I could afford Costa Rica." And here's you know, I actually did a video. Oh man, that's been years ago on can you live in Costa Rica on $1,000 budget? And really, the whole reason I did that is because a lot of people who are retired. Well, some of those people that are retired, you know, some of them, you know, Costa Rica says in order for you to get residency as a pensionada, and a pensionada is someone who is drawing a retirement check. Okay. Maybe you're not only a retirement check, maybe you draw $500 in Social Security. Maybe you draw $500 from wherever job you worked at for 20 years, and you got a combined $1,000 worth of pension, right? And so it can come from multiple sources. But to become a pensionada, a resident pensionada, you got to have at least $1,000. So I did a video on can you live in Costa Rica on $1,000 budget? Absolutely, you can. Is it going to be fun? Well, it just depends on what you like for entertainment. I know when I first came here, we lived on $1,000. Oh, come on, Starlink. All right, sorry about that. Looked like Starlink was buffering. Hey, I'm going to have to get Elon Musk on the phone. Anyway, okay, so if you come here with the intent that you're going to live on $1,000, keep in mind to live on $1,000 a month, and you can do it. Why is that? Because you can rent a Tico house for $200 a month. Look, I know a lot of locals that rent a Tico house. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath Tico house. They paying less than $100 a month, okay? But they're Ticos, okay? You're a gringo. You're going to pay twice as much. So, you know, I have rented anywhere from, I remember this one place we were going to rent. It fell through, and it was like $80 a month. But I've rented anywhere from $200 to $500 for an empty house, okay? So you can easily rent. So keep in mind, let's just say on the high end, you rented for $300 a month. And then, you know, electricity is always really cheap. Everything else is cheap. So, you know, you can live on $1,000 a month. You're probably going to eat a lot of beans and rice. So you're going to have to live like the Ticos. Now, you know what? What would be a comfortable budget? A comfortable budget? $2,000 a month. Comfortable budget. Okay. Do just about anything you want. $2,000 a month. Well, not a whole lot, but hey, $3,000, $4,000 a month. You really can do just about anything you want to have money left over. But Costa Rica is expensive, but really it depends on you. So Retro, if you're coming over here and you want to live the same lifestyle as you have in the United States or wherever you're from, Costa Rica could be crazy expensive because everything in Costa Rica is expensive. So you do have to adjust. But you find out when you come to Costa Rica, you don't need some of the crap that you were using in where you're from. All right. Hey, welcome, Pamela Till. She says she'd love some greens. Come on up this way. I got some greens growing in my garden, and we can cook up some greens. Let's see. So I'm kind of looking at now William. He's married to a Tika, I think, and he says, he was talking about some sausage and trying to get good food. Matter of fact, I was talking to my neighbor who's a foreigner, and he's like, man, and some of the neighbors will bring him food because he's an old guy, and he's like, just not flavorful. And so my wife actually made him some really good soup, and I brought it to him. So hey, I'll find out if he's gonna like it or not. Anyway, that's one of the things to learn about and to understand in Costa Rica is that the food's not real flavorful. They don't normally cook with much seasoning. And Jelly Bean says, hey, you're a Cajun and moved to Costa Rica. Isn't that like no different from the Louisiana swamp? Hey, Cajuns thrive in the Louisiana swamp. That's right. Just for fun on the weekends, I would go to the Louisiana swamp, the swamp, and go alligator wrestling, and that's the reason I'm so strong today. Man, I love alligator wrestling. No, I'm lying to you. But you could go alligator wrestling if you were stupid. I'm not. So JG asked a question and says, whoops. JG says, hey, does $2,000 a month include rent, mortgage if you own your own home? Would $1,200 be comfortable for one person? Hey, okay, let's say that you own your own home. You have no rent. You have no mortgage. Hey, you own your own home, and you can easily live comfortably on $1,200 a month. So I often tell people, hey, a lot of people, they're moving from the United States to Costa Rica, and normally they come in with a little nest egg. Either some people saved up their money, or they have a home, they got property, they sell their property. And if you got a home in Costa Rica, in the United States or somewhere, you sell your property, a lot of people will come over here, $250,000, $500,000, and then they're going to buy something, right? And I tell people often, because I monitor properties all the time. Matter of fact, y'all let me know. I've been thinking about showing some properties and just kind of giving you my input on what I think, that is fair and not fair and absolutely crazy, and tell you my thoughts on it. If you think that would be good, you let me know. But anyway, I tell people, if you come down here with $200,000, and if you're very careful and you buy a piece of property with an existing home on it, okay, with $200,000, and look, there's a lot of homes that you can get for less than $200,000, but let's just say a decent home, $200,000. You could buy an existing home for $200,000, and you have no mortgage. Now, the only thing you're doing is paying your rent. You have no mortgage, no rent. All you got to do is pay your electricity, your water, your propane, your internet. You can easily live on $1,200 a month. Now, if you're the kind of person and you like to go party every weekend, you like to go eat out you can still live pretty comfortable on $1,200. You might have to kind of, pinch pennies here and there, but absolutely just depends on how much entertainment you want to go do. But yes, so does $2,000 include rent and mortgage? Yes, $2,000 includes rent and mortgage. But if you own your own home and you have no rent, no mortgage, $1,200 would be easy to do. Now, check out what William says. William says, hey, JG, I have a home and a car, and I do 4 people on $600 a month. Hey, please clarify for me, William, because there's a lot of people. Yes, you can live on less than $1,000 a month. So clarify for me, William. You're saying that you live on $600 a month, and you got 4 people in your household. And so, but I'm willing to bet you own your own home. Is that correct, William? Please clarify for us. Now, Ed gives his 2 cents, and Ed says, Ochakal is my Hawaii. The mountains meet the ocean. Biodiversity is off the chart cool. Expat community complete with pickleball. most amazing beaches, community with banks and churches. So Ed, do me a favor. I'd love to have you as a guest on a live podcast and share why you love Ochakao and tell me what you don't like about Ochakao. Now, if you're too shy to do a live, hey, get with me and I'd love to just record a video and I'll insert it into a live, okay? But yeah, I would like, thanks for your input, Ed. And so William is confirming $600 a month, and he's just phone, internet expenses. He owns his car and a home, so he doesn't have a mortgage or rent, okay? And he has 4 people that's there. And of course, Everly says, I bet those 4 people don't eat like Alan. And you're probably right. Now, me, I'm a health nut, okay? So, hey, I don't eat a lot of meat or anything. Matter of fact, I really eat no meat. I eat fish and shrimp, and I eat lots and lots of veggies. And when my garden comes in, well, my grocery bill is going to drop tremendously, okay? Matter of fact, I got some tomatoes. Gonna be picking tomatoes here real soon. But, hey, I don't have my whole garden done, but I'm working on it. All right. P. Green says, what's the news about Trump's dual citizenship? Heads up. I haven't heard, but you know what? What I do know at this moment is that, yes, you can have dual citizenship if you live in Costa Rica. So if you're from the United States, at the moment, yes, you can be a dual citizen of United States and Costa Rica. Now, keep in mind, it's a process to become a citizen in Costa Rica, okay? Pretty long process because you got to be a resident first. Or I think if you're over 65, you can apply for citizenship and get it. But you got to know Spanish. There's quite a bit to it, okay? But I haven't heard any news about Trump and that, but I sure would like to know. And Everly says, hey, not only are they not eating like Alan, but no beer. And William says, you're right, no beer. Hey, beer is a huge waste of money, okay? But hey, I do enjoy a good cold cerveza every once in a while. But you know what? Right now, the only cerveza I'm having is my crystal beer. Now, I do enjoy a good cold Allen's apple juice from time to time. But some people have asked, hey, Alan, why is it you're not drinking a good cold cerveza? All right. I'm going to let the cat out the bag. And do you want to know what the cat? Okay. All right. If you want me to let the cat out the bag, type cat in the chat box. Okay. And I'll tell you why I'm having a crystal beer, crystal cerveza. So you want to know what? You want me to let the cat out the bag? Put cat in the comment box, and I'll tell you why I'm not having a good cold Islands apple juice. All right. All right, so Pablo says, what do you think of the incoming election on February 1st? Now, you're going to have to clarify this for me, Jose Pablo. Are you talking about the incoming election of Costa Rica? Kind of willing to bet that's what you're talking about, but maybe you're talking about something else. I just love it. Everly says, meow, meow. Hey, check out William. Gato. Who knows what gato is? That's cat. And so, yeah, okay, so I only got a few takers here. Come on, surely some other people want me to let the cat out of the bag. And Jose says, yes, the election in Costa Rica. To be honest with you, Jose, I haven't followed it close this year. And you know, I normally hear some chatter going on, but I really have no idea. And if I understand right, this is probably going to be the presidential election in February. And, you know, here's the one thing I don't like about Costa Rica. And I really believe that Costa Rica would be so much better. But correct me if I'm wrong, Jose, okay? But in Costa Rica, when a president runs, he can, if he wins, he can only be there 4 years. After 4 years, he can't run again. He has to get out. So in the United States, like President Trump can run 4 years, he can get reelected for another 4. He can run a max of 8 years, and he has to get out. Okay, but President Trump ran 4 years. He was in, and he got out, and then he came back down after Biden. So anyway, you correct me if I'm wrong, Jose, because in my opinion, if they got a good president, okay, and in my opinion, while I don't know a whole lot, I really believe the current president is really good. I saw him make some changes that I really did enjoy and like, okay, and I think he would be an excellent president for the next 4 years. However, if I understand right, he has no chance. He has no option but to get out. And I don't even know if he can run again down the road. And Jose replies back, says, both presidential and Congress election, no re-election yet, but that could change over the next government. Okay, so I was right on that. So, hey, I think Costa Rica would be so much more advanced if they could get reelected and that way. Because, hey, by the time you've done 4 years and you actually got something good going on, the next president comes in, he can pretty much reverse everything. And that's why I think Costa Rica is still a less developed country. I think they would be heads and tails above everyone else if they could have one president staying there for at least 8 years. Pamela Teal says, cat. Ed says, cat. Rick says, cat. Okay. All right. Why, and I haven't had hardly any alcohol to drink in for a few months, okay? A few months. Hey, I don't know where that came from. Well, it would be better if I could have some. Anyway, I have chosen not to have any alcohol because, hey, my wife and I are planning on having a family. And alcohol is not a friend of the guy. So if you want to have a family and you want to be fertile and all that good stuff, so I'm not drinking alcohol. Now, guess what? After she's pregnant, it might be time to celebrate with a good Cold Islands apple juice. So that's why you see me drinking crystal beer or you see me drinking tea. Hey, I know that's a little bit on the personal side, and this channel's not about my personal side, but since you guys are so used to seeing me with a Cold Islands apple juice, it's kind of been part of the brand, right? But hey, that's what's going on. So, hey, Esquire says, congrats. Hey, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. So that's what's going on with me. I love children and have always loved children, would love to have a brand new family. I mean, can you imagine being way up here on the off-grid homestead and bringing them up without internet and without cellular mobile service? Woo! They wouldn't be exposed to the craziness of the world. Wouldn't that be cool? All right. So, hey, tell me and ask today. Remember, today is Q&A. No topic is off limits. Whatever you ask, I've got an answer for it. Or I hope I have an answer for it. All right. So anyway, put your questions in. I'd love to hear more about what are you thinking about when coming to Costa Rica. So tell me, what is the deal breaker for you? You're thinking about coming to Costa Rica. You're pretty sure about it. But hey, maybe there's a deal breaker. Maybe there's something you've heard about it. Now, you know what? This is what's bad. There is a lot of misinformation in Costa Rica. And, one of the things that, to be honest, when I came to Costa Rica, I came here with no research whatsoever, okay? And if somebody would have told me this one thing, I would have said, not going to Costa Rica. Nope, not going to Costa Rica. And what is that one thing? if somebody would have told me that almost every time I turn around, I would have locals trying to con me, I would have locals stealing stuff off my porch, I would have authorities like immigrations, giving me a hard time because they want me to offer a bribe. If I'd have been told that, whenever when you get stopped at the police checks, that, you'd have the traffic police, give you a hard time, and you haven't even broken any laws because they want a bribe. If I'd have been told how difficult it is and how dishonest Costa Rica is, I probably would not have come. So it's a good thing I didn't do any research, okay? Because I'm a very trusting guy, and I've lost thousands and thousands of dollars because I trusted, okay? So learn from my mistake. Don't be too trusting, okay? I give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and I help, and I got some good Tico friends, but guess what? I thought I had some good Tico friends that took advantage of me. So you have to, and look, anywhere in the world you can find dishonest people, okay? It's not just Costa Rica. It's just unfortunate that in Costa Rica it happens a lot more than other places. And I say that because, hey, I've been to Hawaii, Guam, lived in Japan. I've lived in a lot of different places. And you know what? I love Japan. I never had anyone steal from me, okay? But guess what? Costa Rica, it happens a lot. So, so that would have been a deal breaker for me. But guess what? If you're careful, if you're wise, then you can, there's a lot of things you can do to avoid some of that. Some things you can't do. For example, okay, I was at Nicaragua. I was going through the border. I come back, and the immigrations guy, young guy, he gave me a hard time up and down, right? And he says, "Where's your Costa Rica ID?" I says, "I don't have a Costa Rica ID." "Well, you live in Costa Rica. You have to have a Costa Rica ID. I said, "Been in Costa Rica for 11 years, and I don't have an ID. And you cannot get an ID until you become a resident. You live in Costa Rica. You got to have a Costa Rica ID. I don't have a Costa Rica ID. Okay. Is this a new law? No, it's not a new law. Well, this is the first time I've had anyone tell me that, and I've been here for 11 years. Well, no, sir. You got to have an ID. Well, long story short, he kept on, and I says, well, I don't have an ID, and I can call my attorney, and we can talk to her. Well, he let me into the country. He finally stamped my passport, and he says, I'm only giving you 90 days. Oh, he only gave me 90 days. It's that kind of crap that you have to put up with, okay? So you have to be careful, okay? Now, Idoli says the Philippines is the same. I don't know about that. Now, I've been visiting there, and so, hey, Idoli, have you lived in the Philippines a long time? Are you from the Philippines? But, I couldn't tell you. I did do a video on the Philippines, and I did find, in my opinion, I was only there for a month, and I did find, in my opinion, that the people were friendlier. There was a lot of things I didn't like about the Philippines, but I found the people were friendlier, okay? But the Philippines was way too hot for me. And, hey, that's what William says. Too hot for him, too, okay? Hey, and I've seen a couple of people, hey, thanks so much, Ed. Great reason, he says, to have crystal beer. Thank you. Now, I've seen a couple of comments here, and Eduardo talks about how he flies on Spirit Air, okay, and saves money. So, hey, since you guys are talking about air flights, because William says, hey, American Airlines is killing my bags. Name a better airline. Savannah to Miami to San Jose. Man, 8 years went from 250 to 450 both ways. All right. Let me tell you who you need to fly with, okay? Write this down, okay? Real quick, who is it I'm flying with? Who is it I'm flying with? Oh, heck, I'm going to have to check my email real quick. hang on a second here. Hang on a second. Hang on. I'm sure it's Avianca. Okay. But let me just double check real quick. Okay. Avianca. Yes. Okay. I just wanted to double check because I see so many different airlines. Okay. Listen to this, guys. So I am going to the United States in the middle of November. That's close to Thanksgiving. Okay. And so hey, it's a direct flight. Man, I am going from San Jose to Miami. And then I'm going to stay a couple of days, go from Miami right back, take care of some VA appointments. Okay. Guess what? My plane ticket, my round trip ticket. Now, less than $300. Matter of fact, I think it's $250, less than $250. Okay. Now, Avianca, less than $250. I'm going there and coming back. But the caveat here is whenever you get ready to find a flight on Avianca, and it's always cheap. Okay. Now, I fly with just a backpack, so I'm not bringing any carry-ons. Okay. And so whenever I schedule my flight with Avianca, I make sure that I schedule a one-way going, one way coming back. And matter of fact, you can put in there a round trip, and that's just the way Avianca does it. It says, hey, look at these flights right here. It's going to cost you, $180 going. And then when you pick it, then it says, hey, do you want the basic where you're carrying nothing but your backpack, no carry-ons, or you want to carry on, or you want this? And I always pick the cheapest because, man, I just put my stuff in a backpack. I'm going and I'm coming back. And then it has your return flight. My return flight, I think, is like $80. Okay, cheap. So I can fly to Miami and back for under $300. So if I were you, check out Avianca. Avianca is just amazing. And so now the deal is I just don't fly with luggage, and it's still cheap with luggage. So hey, I hope that's a big bonus for you folks. And Eduardo, he loves Spirit Air. He likes to fly, he flies to Fort Lauderdale, then Costa Rica with Spirit Air. He says the best way to fly to Costa Rica. Hey, Eduardo, I'd like to know, what does a round trip ticket cost you, or how much does it cost you to go to Costa Rica and back? Let's compare that with Avianca. I can do it for under $300 with no bags. Ed says he's always had good luck with Southwest Air. I've never tried Southwest Air. And Avianca, it's always really great service. And look, here's a caveat. Whenever I do schedule my flight, I never pay for a seat. Never. Okay. Now, they always give you that option, right? Okay. You pay for all your stuff, and then they're like, pick a seat. I just don't pick a seat. They're going to assign me a seat, and I might have to sit in the middle, but not always, But hey, that's how I can get really decent airfare, okay, if I'm going to go to the States. And Adelaide says there isn't Avianca from San Diego. So you might want to take a flight from San Diego to Florida. I don't know if it would be cheap or not. It may be too costly. But hey, if Avianca is available in your area, definitely check them out. And I have flown with Canadian, but I found Avianca was the best bet. All right, so I'm kind of just scrolling through here. So tell me, what is the deal breaker for you? What is it? What is the one thing I shared with you? What would be the deal breaker for me? And if I'd have known. But hey, if you learn, it's kind of like I shared. If anytime I run into somebody, whether it's an authority, whether it's a traffic cop, whether it's immigration, I've run into so many people that they wanted a bribe. They gave me a hard time, and I never give a bribe. Now, guess what? Got a lot of followers, subscribers that said, Alan, be a whole lot easier if you just give them $50, But I'm not. I'm just not going to do it. That's not the kind of guy I am. The kind of guy I am is I like to do things by the book. I'm not crooked. I'm not, and I'm not going to, I could give you $20, $50, but guess what? All I'm doing is encouraging you to con more gringos. I'm just not going to do it. So when someone is trying to con you and you know they just want to bribe, hey, just be patient, be nice. I'm like, oh, sorry, man, don't know what's up. Guess you'll have to give me a ticket, you know. And that's what I do when the traffic cop stops me and I hadn't done anything wrong. I'm like, oh man, sorry, I'm going to, you know. And you know, you just wait it out, wait it out. And of course, the traffic cop, he's like, "Oh, this is going to cost you like $500." He's lying. I don't think anything costs $500 ticket, but they know tickets are expensive in the United States, so they throw out this huge number, thinking you're going to offer them, $20 or $50 or something. So anyway, when someone wants a bribe, just be patient. Oh man, put a Vita, dude. Oh man, give me a break. It's insane, but that's the kind of stuff you do. Jose says, never pay any bribe. I'm with you, Jose. And let's see here. Let's see here. Now, JR says, I needed to know more about leasing a property to build a house. How long can the lease last? How are payments set up, and how often do you make payments? What happens if the leaseor dies and has kids? Now, that's a good question. And so, hey, let me tell you, when it comes to leasing property, okay, now a lot of attorneys are going to tell you, the most you can lease is 20 years. Well, that's a lie, okay? McDonald's businesses come in and they will have a 99-year lease. So you just need to know who to talk to, okay? So when you get ready to lease a property, this is going to boil down to knocking on doors. And if you're knocking on doors and you're communicating with a Tico, a locum who has a big farm or something, you just got to make it worth it for his time. And you just let him know, hey, look, I'd like to lease this corner of your property here. Maybe, it's however many square meters. And you just tell them. All you got to do is make a deal with them. Say, I'm going to lease there, and I want to lease for 50 years, or I want to lease for 99 years, okay? And then just work out a deal with them. I'll pay you $100 a month, and guess what? I'm going to build a house on it, and when I die, your family gets to have my house, okay? Because, or you make plans to say, you have the option to sell it to someone, and they can lease, so you have to work those things out. It's not a common thing to lease other people's property, but it can be done. I'm on lease property right here, okay? And is it a good thing? It's good sometimes, and it's not sometimes. All depends on how the owner is feeling, okay? So, leasing is not the best thing in the world, but it all depends on the relationship you have with the owner and setting out the terms. If you have everything written out, and of course you go to an attorney, then it can really be a sweet deal. And so if you find someone that's willing to lease you a piece of property for 50 years, and you ain't got 50 years left of your life, and you know that you're going to build something that's not too crazy expensive, and you work out a plan with them, it's a good deal. But a lot of people would say, hey, it's not a good deal, and really, some people say it's not a good idea. Like Adelaide says, JR, not a good idea to build on someone else's property. It's not, but it really all depends on what your goal is. For me, it's awesome because I got a 99-year lease, okay? And because I actually am helping the guy, I pay $1 a year. That's what I pay to be on this property, $1 a year. But hey, I've spent quite a bit of money on this property. And I've spent, I spent $30,000 just getting the internet up so that I could have internet, okay? And then Starlink came out a few years down the road. So, that was the agreement. I'm here to take care of the old fella, in hopes he never dies, but of course, he's going to die at some point. And then, I take care of the place and help his son inherit the property. So it's all just depends on what you do. What's your goal? Here's a great question. William says, can you get private insurance and sidestep CAHA? No matter what you do, you can buy as much private insurance as you can. You have absolutely zero option. When you become a resident, you will, without a doubt, pay CAHA. Now, you don't have to pay CAHA, but you're going to get thrown out. Okay, so the deal is when you become a resident, you're a temporary resident for 2 years. Okay, so you're a temporary resident for 2 years, and then you have to reapply on year 3 or after year 3. Then you can apply to be a permanent resident. Well, when you get ready to reapply, if they take a look and they say, okay, the first 2 years, did you pay CAHA? You didn't pay CAHA? Oh, you missed 5 of them? Nope, sorry, get out. Get out of Costa Rica. If you're going to be a resident in Costa Rica, you're going to have to pay CAHA, okay? And look, I highly suggest getting your residency. It's worth it so you don't have the hassle going in and out the border. I hate going to the border. And hey, Blue Zone Legal is working on my residency right now, okay? I'm getting all the paperwork to them. And so, hey, hopefully it won't be long. I'll be a pensionada in Costa Rica. It's well worth it. Now, one caveat. When you become a resident, the CAHA is going to be based on your income, based on where you live, a couple of other things. How many hospitals in your area? So it would be very, very valuable for you. It would be great for you to contact me so I can connect you with my connection who can save you a lot of money when it comes time to paying CAHA. And you want to do that before you actually, so it's after, once you start getting your residency toward the end, you got to go to the CAHA department, and then that's when they're going to talk to you about how much to pay and all of that stuff. Okay. So anyway, you want to be sure to contact me, and I can connect you with the right persons. You can save a ton of money. But you cannot sidestep CAHA. And yes, Esquire is saying, yes, you will be 3 years temporary. Then after that 3rd year, you can apply to be permanent. So the first 2 years, you're temporary. You got to reapply, which is going to give you 2 more years. But then after year number 3, you can apply to be a permanent resident. And so Rick says, hey, is a relocation retreat advisable? Well, I used to do relocation retreats, and mine were good. But guess what? Mine were great, and I would highly, highly, highly advise it. But when you were there, I gave you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I actually had people that after they watched my presentation, and, I actually had people, sharing, giving them, then they would, say, hey, I don't think Costa Rica's right for me. And, well, of course, when I was doing relocation retreats, I had invited Sarah Elena to come with me, invited Michael Allen to come with me, because I didn't want it to be all about me. I wanted to get perspectives from other people. Sarah got mad because she said I was telling people too much of the truth. She was losing business, and hence the reason she left. Hey, this is all, I got video proof of this stuff, okay? And my point is, a relocation retreat is advisable if you have honest people putting it out there. Unfortunately, I've not found anyone honest that's going to give the information. I know for a fact, Sarah Elena, she does a little retreat, but she doesn't give you the whole truth. She tells you only what you need to hear to con you into coming to Costa Rica. Hey, I know this from fact, okay? Because, hey, I invited her to partner with me for a while and did 4 of them. So anyway, I don't want to get into all of that drama. But, hey, people say, oh, let it go. I let it go. But guess what? New people that come on the channel all the time need to know, who can I trust, Alan? Well, unfortunately, most people on YouTube, it's a business, okay? I'll tell you about Costa Rica, and I'll sell you my product and service. I'll sell you travel. I'll sell you this. I'll sell you that. And they're going to tell you stuff because they want you to come. Well, be very careful. Do your due diligence. So I don't know of a retreat right now that's worth going to. That's just my honest opinion, okay? Now, hey, Esquire brings out a good point. I didn't do a retreat. So, a lot of people come to Costa Rica and they don't do a retreat. You just need to. So here's what I would say. When you come to Costa Rica to do a retreat, it's very valuable if you have someone like me who's giving you the honest truth. Okay. But if you're not going to have someone give you an honest truth, here's what I would do. The next best thing to do is do your own retreat, which means come to Costa Rica for a week. And while you're here for a week, drive down to San Vito, Sabalito, drive to different parts of Costa Rica and get an experience of what it's like. If you happen to see other gringos, strike up a conversation, talk to them. So, and look, if you don't do a retreat, you can, you can schedule a phone consultation with me, and I can give you a ton of information. And yes, you'll have to pay for a phone consultation. So I'm not encouraging you to do so, but if you're serious about coming to Costa Rica, it's definitely worth your time and worth your money to actually schedule a phone consultation, okay? And that's just simply because I haven't found anybody who is honest in doing a retreat. And Jose puts out a good point as we were talking about Caja. And he says, we need to reform the Caja system. It's too expensive and the service is not good enough. And, I would agree with you there, Jose. It really needs to be set up a little bit better. And look, I don't pay Caja because I'm not a resident, but I have gone in and I have experienced the social medicine. I had to pay out of pocket. And hey, while I'm sure they took good care of me, the experience was terrible, okay? But that's just part of social medicine. Adelaide says, great information. Thank you very much. And you're quite welcome. And William says, a retreat is kind of like buying a timeshare. Ouch. And, retreats are really good because the retreats I did, we actually took you out, showed you different houses, and I explained all kind of things. Hey, this is a typical Tico build. Hey, this place, and I showed you all of this stuff, not trying to sell you the property, and I made sure to let you know. I'm not trying to sell you properties. I'm trying to let you compare what life is in the United States compared to Costa Rica. And Robin says, hey, Michael. I'm not Michael, by the way, and maybe you meant this for Michael. Had to stop by and let you know that Carrie and I have moved to Costa Rica. We're renting a beautiful house in the mountains above Gracia. Thank you so much for your helpful videos. You are quite welcome. I don't know if you're talking about my videos or Michael, but hey, anyway. Hey, Evelina asked a question. It says, what is the goal of Costa Rica government taxing cars so highly, being that they're green? Okay, it's real simple, Evelina. Matter of fact, after your comment about the $10,000 vehicle, maybe we'll talk about that, okay? So Costa Rica, obviously they don't make their own cars. And it is a business for Costa Rica, okay? If you import a car, they're going to make money on it. And so here's the way they're looking at it. If you import a car, then we are losing money on the dealerships that are in Costa Rica. So Costa Rica doesn't want you to import a car. They want you to buy a car from the dealers and the locals who have cars here. But if you've got enough money to import a car into Costa Rica, we are going to charge you a fortune. And it could, so here's just an example. You import a brand new vehicle, and that vehicle is worth $50,000. Your import fees could easily be $25,000 or $30,000. Okay. And here's how, in my opinion, crooked Costa Rica is. So, and I'd have to do the research, but anyway, these numbers aren't accurate. Costa Rica might charge you 50% import duties on a brand new car. But guess what? Depending on how old the car is, if the car is like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, the older the car is, now Costa Rica will charge you 75% import fees. Wait a minute. Why are you charging 75% more on an old car than 50% on a new car? So they can make more money. It's just a business. You have to understand it's a business, and it's Costa Rica's way of penalizing you. You don't want to pay expensive import fees? Go down to the local Toyota dealership, buy a brand new car from them. I can understand it to a point, but it's just part of business. So I hope I answered your question, Evelina. Hey, Ed says, hey, the best way to get to know Costa Rica is to rent a car and go for it. Have lots of time, and I absolutely agree. Now, you know what? Rent a car, go all over Costa Rica, and guess what? Here is the best way. Let me tell you the best way to get to know Costa Rica, and let me tell you how you can do it for free. Wait a minute. Write this down, folks. Get your pen and paper. I'm going to tell you, instead of doing a retreat, now, if I was doing a retreat, I would highly suggest you to come. But since I'm not doing a retreat, here's how you can come to Costa Rica for free. Free, okay? Go to Google and find house sitters, okay? And just Google house sitters, okay? And if you find a house sitter, there's a lot of people that live here. They might go back to Canada for 3 months. So create you an account. It's going to cost you less than $100. And then you create your account, contact these people and say, hey, I see you got a place in San Jose. I'd love to come house sit for you. Okay. And so people are always looking, and they're putting it up there. So then you can house sit, which means you get to live there for free. And look, some of them, it's only 2 weeks. Some of it's a week. Some of it's, a month. I've house sitted in a place for a year over on the Coweta side. Okay. So it's a great way to go all over Costa Rica. And that's one of the reasons I've lived in over 25 different places in Costa Rica. All the way from the Nicoya Peninsula all the way down to San Vito is I house sat. And I'd stay a month, 2 months, 3 months. I've lived all over Costa Rica. And that's why I have so much experience. And that's why I can share my perspective more than anyone else that I know of, because I have lived in so many different places. But in my opinion, that is the best way to learn Costa Rica and do it for free. And I do say for free. And of course, the caveat to that is that, if you're staying for less than a month, then you get to live there for free. If you're staying longer than a month, then normally you have to pay the utilities. Okay. So if you're going to be there less than a month, well, the utilities are covered. If you're staying for more than a month, oftentimes you got to pay the utilities. I never did, because I told him, I said, look, I got a house in Costa Rica. I already pay utilities for my house. So I'm not paying utilities for your house. But I can promise you, you won't find someone better to take care of your place. So guess what? I never paid anything, and I always did it for free. But hey, I know how to bargain, and it's just common sense. I live in Costa Rica. I'm a handyman. Something breaks, I can fix it. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on that, my 2 cents. And of course, Esquire says, yes, cars are more expensive due to the import taxes. Even dealers pay for that. Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up, because I should have brought that up. Even dealers pay the import fees, okay? Now, do they get a cheaper deal? I have no idea. But Costa Rica wants you to buy your new car from the dealers and not import your own. Because obviously, if you buy it from the dealers, they're going to make money. And so your money is helping out the dealers. If you don't buy a car from the dealers, guess what? Only the government makes money off of you, and they're going to penalize you. And that's why. And so Jose puts out his 2 cents and says, hey, Evelina, cars are expensive here. Any car you buy in the United States would cost you double in Costa Rica. Matter of fact, just real quick, because we're running out of time. How many of you folks have heard it? Evelina has shared a good bit about it. And there's Toyota's put out kind of a no frills vehicle, $10,000 for this truck. Okay. And, in other places you can buy it for $10,000. Okay. And it's really, designed for poor countries. Well, however, once you import it here, by the time you pay, shipping, import, all of that stuff. Well, that now $10,000 car is going to cost you over $20,000. And, so anyway, I did a bit of research on that. Maybe I'll do a video just on that. But anyway, Esquire says, hey, I bought a $38,000 Bronco, too. It was a brand new Bronco in the United States, and for $54,000 here. So the same exact vehicle he could have paid $38,000 for in the United States cost him $54,000, and that, of course, is because of the import fees, and of course they raised the price so they can make a profit and all of that. So yeah, that Bronco, he could have paid so much cheaper for it in the United States, but all of that import fees, shipping fees gets shuffled down to the buyer, right? And of course, like William says, be careful when you do buy a vehicle. Make sure that you buy certain brands, the most popular brands in Costa Rica. If I was going to buy a brand new vehicle, I'd buy a Toyota because it's a very, very popular brand, easy to buy parts. Because like William says, hey, some cars, you're going to have a hard time finding parts, okay? So you do want to be careful. And of course, Eduardo says, hey, a Geo Tracker is the best vehicle in the world. To me, my opinion is a Land Cruiser is the best vehicle. Those Land Cruisers are tough, dude. I'm talking about they built tough. They're tough. So one of these days, I'm going to have enough money to buy me a brand new Land Cruiser. And hey, a Toyota Hilux, yeah, they are really good vehicles. You see a lot of those on the street. So I'm kind of just scanning through here. All right, so when we were talking about house sitting a while ago, JR says, how do you know where it's safe to house sit? That's the whole point. You're house sitting. Almost anywhere it's going to be safe, JR, okay? And so, and here's my point. When you're house sitting for a foreigner, okay? You're not house sitting for a local. Locals don't have house sitters, okay? You're house sitting for a foreigner. Well, the foreigner who has a house, he built where it's safe. He did not build in the ghetto, okay? So most of the time, if a foreigner has built a house and he's going back to the United States, he knows he better have a house sitter, because if he doesn't have a house sitter, guess what? The local is going to start disassembling his house, and he may not even have a house when he comes back, depending on how long he's gone. So most places that you house sit, don't worry about it, JR. It's going to be safe. Now, Evelina says, okay, I'll buy a car locally. Our price is decent. You know what? I have seen some cars that the prices weren't crazy high. Was it a small car? Yes, absolutely. So it all depends on what you want to drive, okay? Now, me, I would not buy a car unless I got 4x4, okay? And it better be an old-fashioned 4x4, not an all-wheel drive, okay? But maybe you don't ever on, Elon. All right, we were buffering for just a moment. But anyway, you want to be careful when you buy a vehicle, because if you're going to buy a vehicle, I say buy 4x4, because you want to sightsee. There's a lot of good stuff is off the road. Robin was the one saying, thank you so much. And he says, sorry, Alan, brain freeze. He says, I also spent 29 days in the hospital, SEMA hospital, shortly after getting here. And obviously, I'm not back 100%. So he calls me Michael instead of Alan. But that's okay, buddy. Hey, me, I just have fun. All right. Rick says, thank you. You're quite welcome. Gracias. This is funny. William says his neighbor got an electric car and he's crying that his electric bill is high. You know what? If you get an electric car in Costa Rica, your electric bill is going to be expensive. So this is probably the last question here as we're nearing an hour. Okay, keep in mind, when, Costa Rica electricity can be very, very cheap. And that's most Ticos don't even use the minimum. But most Ticos, the only thing they're using is maybe a refrigerator and a few light bulbs, okay? They're not using expensive rice pots and crock pots and, they're not. They're using the very basic electricity. So in Costa Rica, the more electricity you use, the more expensive it is. In the United States, the more you use, the cheaper it gets, okay? But in Costa Rica, they figure if you can afford to use a lot of electricity, you can afford to pay for it. And that never made sense to me because Costa Rica, they generate 99% of all their own electricity. So you think that prices of electricity prices would be cheap, but it's not. I guess you still got to pay for them generating their own electricity. So Evelina says, hey, Alan, do you recommend a Land Cruiser 70 or what year? Hey, almost any year Land Cruiser, okay? Land Cruisers, matter of fact, they are so stinking good, they were actually building vehicles for the military. So, hey, the deal is if you buy a Land Cruiser, just make sure that no matter what vehicle you buy in Costa Rica, you take it to a big gas station where they can lift it up and you can examine it. They can examine it, tell them that you're going to take it for inspection. You want them to examine everything because you want them to fix everything that's broken. Not that you're going to actually do it. I'm not saying lie, but tell them, hey, you're going to buy this vehicle, and if there's anything broken, you want it to be fixed. And hey, true, you want it to be fixed anyway. That's how you find out if you're going to get a good deal or not, because they will lift it up and they will look at everything. And of course, hopefully it's an honest big gas station, and they'll tell you this needs to be fixed, that'll be fixed, that'll be fixed, that'll be fixed, and they'll give you an estimate. And then you have a bargaining chip because they can print that out and you can go to the owner and say, hey, I love your Land Cruiser. I love this vehicle. But you know what? I took it to the gas station. They say it's going to cost me $3,000 to get all these things fixed. So guess what? You want $10,000. Guess what? I'll give you $6,000. And you start bargaining. So that's what I would do if I were you. And of course, Evelina says, hey, what military vehicle was made from the Land Cruiser? I really don't know. I just know that when I was doing the research before I bought my Land Cruiser, which is a really old one, and I got conned. I didn't take my own advice. And anyway, I told myself I was going to take it and take it to the gas station. But the old guy was so nice and everything. And then when I did take it, I bought it and I spent $9,000 after I took it to the gas station. The frame was busted in several places. So anyway, I threw away that $9,000. I got conned again. And that's why I share all this information. And that's why I do it for free. It's kind of my way of getting back at it. All right. Now, Ed brings up a good point. He says, when I first came here in 2007, you did not see any nice or new vehicles. Now, every other vehicle is a Prado or a Hilux. Absolutely, Ed. When I came back here in 2013, okay, there just was not a lot of nice or new vehicles. And it seems like probably 5 years in the bin here, all of a sudden, and this is my opinion, they really were not financing, and it was difficult to buy a new vehicle. And then all of a sudden, banks started financing, dealers started financing, and then it made it very easy for people to buy a brand new vehicle. And hence the reason that now everybody's got a brand new vehicle or a nice vehicle, whereas before, when I first came here, just like you, Ed, you never saw brand new vehicles. The only people with brand new vehicles were gringos. All right. Hey, William. Matter of fact, I think your son joined the Facebook group today. I think it's the same guy. All right. Hey, we're already past an hour, and I'm having so much fun. It's getting dark on me. I forgot to turn on my light. So, hey, folks, I hope you guys have had a good time today. Let me know. Did you enjoy it? Give me a like. I don't know what the deal is. It's so easy to hit the like button, but I'm not going to beg you to like it. Come on, folks. 22 people here. There should be at least 30 likes, okay? But, hey, I do all this for free, so it really doesn't matter to me. Now, I like that you like it. I like that you share. I love that you comment because it helps other people. So if you're the kind of guy that likes to pay it forward, hit the like button. You're paying it forward and you're helping other people to get this valuable information. All right, folks, I hope you had a great time. We'll see you next week. Please, folks, if you want to join me on a live podcast, I want to get your 2 cents. Let's do a live together. And if you're scared to go on live, well, then let's schedule a time and I'll just record us without going live and I'll insert it into a live. All right, folks. See you next time.